Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 224.5 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some changes that are happening to iOS 14.5, how this affects your Facebook, Instagram, and any kind of advertising you're doing, as well as I think it's going to have some pretty big social impacts too. So big changes happening. I think some big things to consider, especially as you're considering where to be investing time and energy into social content. So let's jump into today's episode. Before we begin, I want to mention a few things. First, be sure to subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Second thing is, if you ever have anything that you'd like me to cover in the podcast, I would love to hear from you. You can just send me a message at brandon@veterinarymarketingpodcast.com. You can also head on over to the Facebook Marketing Nerds group and request to join there and ask any questions that you have. But always happy to jump in and talk about different marketing topics. So if there's anything you'd like me to cover, please let me know. So let's jump into today's episode. First thing, if you haven't been aware, there's been a brand battle going on between Facebook and Apple, a big time war. Apple has been de-verified by Facebook. In fact, they took away their blue check mark on their Facebook profile. It's pretty interesting. You should go check it out. But that being said, Facebook is upset with Apple because Apple has made changes with iOS 14, and specifically with iOS 14.5. There's huge changes coming out. Conversion tracking with pixels is extremely limited. And the data that Facebook can collect from the pixels that are being used is being limited like crazy. This has some significant repercussions. So first off, a pixel is a piece of JavaScript code that you install on your website, and pretty much every website has it. And with this, Facebook has been able to collect tons of user data. They know who's buying what. There was a recent leak that happened where hackers took data from Facebook, and you could look at all kinds of records for hundreds of millions of people, anything from like what hotels they stayed in, what credit cards they had. It was incredible amount of data. And this is all done through pixel tracking, through app tracking. And so Apple said, you know what, we're going to protect our users, and we're not going to let Facebook take this information anymore. And the problem with that is that Apple is now taking that information. It's going to be rolling out an ad network on their own. So, they're kind of saying like, hey, we're going to protect you and our users, but in reality, they're just using the data for themselves. So that's kind of an overview of what's happening. And thinking about this and looking at the response that Facebook has given, it's been very weak. There's not been a clear way to get things fixed. We don't really know what's happening. We're seeing what's happening, what's rolling out. And I understand that they have, they're not the person that's updating this and rolling this out. So, that all being said, I can understand that they don't have all the answers yet, but they've been really lackluster in their support, really lackluster in their response. And if you look at what their business model is, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, they run ads, and that's how they run their business. And I know that a lot of media buyers and ad buyers like myself are, wondering what the direction is going to be on this. What are the results going to be from this? And there's just not been anything clear from Facebook. So I see that as a huge problem. And if their ad platform ceases to function, then they have a huge product problem, right? So if we're looking at Facebook and Instagram, if their ads start to lose money and drop in revenue because we aren't able to accurately convert or measure conversion, and if big retailers or big advertisers start saying, you know what, we have no idea what's going on, we're not going to continue doing our ads here, or our effectiveness of the ads is greatly reduced because we don't have that conversion data anymore, it definitely makes sense that their ad product would suffer. So as a result, I think that if you have not already, be really, really thinking about going out and diversifying your traffic sources. I'd be making sure that you're building your email list, driving the people that you have on your social channels to email as much as possible. And I would really suggest starting with YouTube, or making sure that you have Google search ads up and in place as a way to generate leads and clients so that you're not left high and dry. And I know that a lot of practices are really focused on Instagram, which is awesome, and focused on Facebook, which is also awesome. But putting all those eggs in one basket is just, I think, a recipe for disaster, especially as these changes happen. Google is definitely insulated from a lot of these things. They have Chrome, which over 30% of the internet uses. It's actually the most popular internet browser, so that's going for Google. They have Google Analytics. They have Google products like YouTube, and YouTube is just growing exponentially still, which is awesome. And then on top of that, they also have a bunch of really high-quality hardware. I actually switched over to the Pixel 5 because I didn't want to be supporting Apple when I am an advertiser, and they're actively trying to take away advertising. So anyways, I switched over to a Pixel 5, which is a Google phone, and I love it. And they also have the Android operating system. So they have a bunch of really high-quality products, great ways to collect and use data. And so for that reason, I like the fact that they have hardware, they have software, and they have a really robust ads platform that is not new. It has better support, in my opinion, than Facebook. And so if I'm thinking about, what are consistent ways to build practices and make sure that we have consistent growth, that's definitely going to be done through Google and Google Ads. So just a few things to think about. If you haven't done so, think about really getting involved with Google AdWords, because I think it's a proven system that works really, really well. So if you have any questions, if you'd like to have me help you with Google AdWords, if you'd like any help in particular, you can always send me an email at brandon@veterinarymarketingpodcast.com. You can also go check out my YouTube ads course that's all done. I think it turned out really, really good, and I'm proud of it. So if you want to go to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/YouTube, you can check that out. If you use code SAVE100, you can save $100. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll talk soon.